What I've discovered is that the chakras that you have in your palms, which are exactly what once you understand what they are, this is important. Now I'll try to. The first thing you need to know is the chakras. Oh, you have one. Oh, good. Okay. All right, here they are. I just need this one. This is one. This is the older one. They made a new one. They just made a brand new one, and which is way stronger than these. They've really worked it out, I think. I'm really impressed what they've done. I don't know what exactly it is they've done, but they've done something. But they have a blue dot on them, and that's out. This goes in. And the chakras, like the heart chakra, all the chakras are facing this way. So like Mer-Ka-Ba field is sitting this way. But your chakras are turned 90 degrees facing this way. And running up the body. And you've got 12 of these. But the one on top of your head, the crown chakra, is exactly the same as your big one. And the base chakra is also flat, exactly the same as your big Mer-Ka-Ba. Those two sit in the same way, and all the rest of them are at 90 degrees turned this way, running up the body like that. And on your hand, they're like this. They're flat. So if you're, depending on where you face your hand, is how it is. And so from within your body, looking out, all these that are facing like this are rotating over the top counterclockwise from inside your body. Now counterclockwise is like this, but you're seeing it clockwise. If I turn around and keep doing the same thing, you can see that it's actually counterclockwise. You come back around and it's clockwise. If you look at the earth from the top, the earth is spinning counterclockwise. If you look at the bottom, it's spinning clockwise. It's rather confusing. And so all of the ones are going from over the top toward your left side of your body. It's really crucial. But if you're looking at a person, when you're outside of your body, looking at another body, all of them look like they're moving clockwise. Because now you've looked at the other polarity. So they all look like if this is the person's body, it looks like they're moving like this and toward the left side of their body. You got to get that straight, because if you do the exact opposite, you're going to make that person sick. You're going to mess them up. And that's actually, in martial arts, they do those things. They bring you see them do this motion where they make the motion down on their opponent and up on themselves. They're making this motion. And they're bringing their energy up and they're bringing their energy down. Of course, they both know that, so it doesn't usually work. But and so I found that you can actually just use your hands with your intention, which is what I did out there for you when you were in that healing circle. When I bring the feathers up like this, I'm seeing all of your chakras spin properly. And it's too fast for it to hold for a long time, but it helps. It does help. But if you hold somebody's chakras for a long time, you can do the same thing as these. But it does take training. It's really good to have these. I had these for many years, and they really helped me in that way. It's good to know that what's really actually happening in the chakras, that they're just little tiny Mer-Ka-Ba fields is all they are. But from that, you can run your hand up from here, and you can just feel where they're spinning incorrectly. And you can just see where all the blocks are, and all you'd have to do is just go there. You don't even have to touch the person. And you can, with your intention, spin that so that it goes into the appropriate field. There's times when we're doing this healing here where people get so emotional in it. They have such an emotional release that they can't even stop crying. They're just crying uncontrollably. And there was several times, actually, where I saw the person doing this, and they were just standing there, and they couldn't stop crying. And I used them to see if what would happen. So I go to their heart chakra, and I go to their upper heart chakra, which is the link to their emotional body, from where that crying is probably coming from. It could be from down here, but it's probably from up here. And I would go to their side and put my hand over the upper heart chakra and into the back, link with both sides of it, because it's a cone coming out in both ways, link with it. And I could close my eyes and I could just see this thing. And what was amazing is that the chakra this is the size of your chakra, of the actual spin, but the energy point is just a little like a pinhole inside of it. It's really, really small, what is generating the energy. And so I put my hands over them and they're crying and I could see this thing huge. They would get this big when a person's out of control like that. The chakra's out like that. And it isn't just spinning like a top. It's tight. It's wobbling all over. And so with my intention, I would take that and spin it in and tighter and tighter and tighter until it was spinning. And the person would be crying, Where'd it go? I was into that. Where'd it go? And I did that with a lot of people. You can do it with babies too. Just with babies, just go to their heart chakra and just bring it into balance, and they just quit crying. They just feel fine after that. And the directions again, the right direction. Well, the direction is that it always goes over the top toward the left side of the body. Now, and even if you're looking at them the other way, it looks like the spin is different, but it's still going toward the left side of the body. And then the thing, though, is the base and the crown are flat. And and it's the way you look. If you look down at the crown, you'll see it spinning counterclockwise. But then you look up at look down at the base and it's spinning counterclockwise. You look up at this one, which is now you're underneath the opposite pole, and it's also spinning counterclockwise, which means they're spinning in opposite directions to each other. That's one of the little tricks that's really important to understand. Because as you go, we have a whole set of octaves. We have an octave, or a chromatic scale, really, of 13 chakras. And the length from the base of the spine to the top of the head is a certain length. We have another set below us, where we came from another one. And if you measured them, they're much shorter. And the distance, if you took this as 1, this one is going to be 1.618, this golden mean. If you take this one as 1, we have another set that goes above our head, and they're much bigger. They're longer. And if this is 1, it's 1.618 is the separation between them. They're higher, bigger, and farther. And so it's the translation is as I see it. This one's spinning in one direction. So those, I think, are reversed compared to these. And these are above you are reversed compared to these, which means that the ones above us and the ones below us are in the same spin ratio, but the ones in the middle are different, in the opposite. And the chakras coming out of the back? Yeah, they come out of the front and back. It's really it's spinning tetrahedrons, and they form cones when they're spinning. And so you have a cone coming out the front, and you have a cone coming out the back, and of each one of them. Except this one is going to be in the head and out that way, and the base one's going to be down that way and up this way.
If you take your right hand and you put your thumb out, no matter what chakra you put your thumb into, front or back, it's the direction your fingers are turning will show you the direction of the chakra. So here it'll turn this way, here this way, and here that way. So it's like that and like that. Even in the chakra 1 like that too. Your right hand. Yeah, right hand rule.
Oh, good.
Or right thumb, yeah.
If you know this, if you know what we're just talking about right now, you can become a master healer really quick. Because all you got to do is be in your heart and go through their chakra system and get everything in balance, and that balances everything, all the meridians, the whole thing. All the blood flow begins to happen, the chi begins to move through your body, right? And problems just go away. There still are emotional impacts behind that, and some of those emotional impacts, that's why I think you have to do this many times. You don't do it just once. Once starts bringing the flow, but you have to get into those emotional impacts, but it's very good. Okay. So this is I brought this just to explain this, because this is when it comes to healing for me, this is a big thing. This is a really important thing to know. And it doesn't cost anything or anything. It's just knowledge. And if you know that knowledge of exactly what's going on in all your chakra systems, how they work and what it is, and if you're sensitive, if you're a healer, you can probably feel where they're out. And you fix just the ones that are even out. Just that usually makes a massive difference in the person's energy field and how they work. But do them all. Do all of them. And especially, not just these, but you have one more right above your head up here. That's the 13th one, which links you between these chakras and the ones above. This is the base of the next one. And so that's really important to tie it, and to tie it to the ones below. This is your past and this is your future. And so I just felt that was an important thing for you to understand. And I think if you start working with it, if you are a healer and you're working with people and you have the money, I really recommend you get, especially these brand new ones that are coming out, which are a thing. But if you don't have the money and you can't afford it, just learn the system, what you just learned, figure it out with your hands, and you can do this yourself. Okay, we have a little bit more time, and I've stopped on those things. I think I want to talk now about what we're going to do this afternoon. And we're going to be involved in what is called sound healing. And there's a lot of ideas about sound healing and how it works. And it came from this woman named Joanne Carl. I don't know if anybody know Joanne Carl, have ever been to her workshops? One person. I love her. She's really a great lady. I wish I could tell her story, because it would take about half an hour to do it. The story is amazing of how she came into spirituality. But through this story, though, she became directly connected to Archangel Michael, and I mean directly. He manifested physically to her, and then for a while, anyway, nobody could see him but her. But it was she could touch him, just like this, but nobody else could see it. And so I taught with her for a while, because I was really learning from her, because she was doing things that I'd never seen before, and all her learning was through play and through games and real gentle things that were swaying people in blankets and all kinds of things, and it was all being led by Archangel Michael. And but one of the things they did was there was he had somebody was sick, real sick in there, and Archangel Michael had them stand in the middle, and then 6 people stood around them and put their hands on the back and around the side of that person, and then another group around that on the backs of them, and they kept doing that, so they're all touching. And all they did was sing to them, only in this case, they chanted Om. And the energy went in, and I watched the transformation of this person, and this person was completely healed from just this chanting. And after that, I realized I wanted to incorporate that into workshops, but I didn't know exactly how, because that would take forever to do that if you have one person in the whole group working on that one person like that. And so I discussed it with Archangel Michael, and he said, well, we can adapt it. And he said, you can do it in groups of 7 or 8. He said, and his words were not 6 and not 9. It had to be either 7 or 8 people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to lay one person down on their back, and there'll be a person at the head, a person at the feet, and then the rest, 2 or 3 on either side. And so you're holding. One person's holding the feet, the other person's holding the head, somebody's holding both hands, and the rest of the hands go on the side of the body. And all we do is we're just going to sing Om. The words are pretty easy. and Alleluia. And it took us a while to find out what this other sound would be, but Alleluia is really a good one. There's probably others you could use. And an energy field is created, and it's just kind of, you get enclosed. You can feel this. And a strange thing happens that in this particular kind of thing, you can just let go of stuff. You just let it go. And it's just gone. But here's how it works. I'm going to move this one. Do you remember in one of the books, I had something called The Family Tree of a Male Bee? Does anybody remember that? I guess wait a minute, am I too far off to the side? I think I need to move. Can everybody see that now? Yeah? Okay. The family tree of a male bee is that, well, a female bee can make a male bee anytime she wants. She does not need a male. She can just become pregnant, and the bee will always be a male bee. But if she chooses to make a female bee, she must mate with a male bee. That's how they have set it up. And so here's a male bee, and a male bee only has, this is male and female, a male bee only has a mother, but the female bee has a mother, a father, and a mother. Okay? It's like a tetrahedron. This is the basic geometry that they have figured out. Well, if you keep doing this, that means that the male only has a mother, but the mother has a male and a female. Understand? Is it clear to everybody? Okay, I'm going to go faster now. Okay, I'm not going to put those things in there now. Now, if you look at this, it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and it's the Fibonacci sequence unfolding. So we're binary sequence and they're Fibonacci sequence. But in there, if you notice, I came back up the other way, and in music, in a piano with black and white keys, the white keys are the octave, the black keys are basically, and you go through, you can come back starting with either a chord of 3, then going to 5, the pentagonal, what's it called? Pentatonic scale, the octave, which is really 7 plus 1. The octave, this one is also 4 plus 1, by the way. This is 7 plus 1, and this is 12 plus 1, or 13. And then when you do that, and you run these things down here, you can actually see why the chromatic scale goes, C, C sharp, D, etc., all the way through there, and why sometimes there isn't one. You can actually visually see it. But what you're doing here is you're having harmonics of music come up this way, and organic structure come down this way, and they meet, and they're identical. If you can intuitively see this, there is a relationship with music, or the harmonics of sound, and organic structure. They're related together. Okay? We used another one. There are actually billions of these. If you want to go through life. There was one that the Rosicrucians used where they took a human spine, which has 24 vertebrae in it, and which is 3 octaves, or 2 chromatic scales, depending on how you want to look at it. And they, because it's Fibonacci, organic structure is based on Fibonacci, it never reaches perfectly the golden mean, and so there are differences, slight differences. So if you take a person's height and you take their wingspan, they fit inside of a cube, which Leonardo showed. But if you measure a lot of people, you'll find that the difference between the height and their wingspan is 1/10,000th of an inch. So it's really small, but that small is related because it's Fibonacci in nature and not golden mean. And in the same way, the spine, what the Rosicrucians did is they took each one of the vertebrae and they took 100 vertebrae, and they weighed them. They took the actual weight of these things that was left over after they were dried, and the actual weight of each one of them, and they averaged them on each one of them with 100 of them. And they found out this amazing thing, and that is that the weight of the vertebrae, the human vertebrae, and the cycles per second moving up through the chromatic scale. Cycles per second in the chromatic scale moves at 11 cycles per second and multiples thereof. So the first one's 11, 22, 33, 44, 55 cycles per second as they move up. And the weight ratios were exactly in that proportion. Exactly. It's amazing. I mean, so the bottom vertebrae, as they got lighter and lighter and lighter, that cycles per second was exactly the same thing as going the other direction. And so, again, you can see that there is a relationship between the harmonics of music and organic structure. And this time, you tied it to humans, not just to bees. You could do this for the rest of your life. You could just keep picking things, and just in the human body, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands, probably maybe going into billions and trillions, I don't know, just forever, of different places. You could find the same relationship where the harmonics of music and organic structure are related. Once you know that that's true, you can see how sound, the human voice, it doesn't have to be just an instrument or a violin or a guitar, but all sound. You could even have sound generators that can do this. But the human voice is old. And when the human voice is connected to the heart chakra, when it's in that place again, and you are either talking or singing, if you're singing especially when you're singing in harmonics, it's really powerful in the human body. It can alter the course of illness, and it can do it really fast. And so, and that's what we're going to demonstrate today and show you. And you can feel this when you get in there. You can just, and these people are singing to you. It does kind of like the disc. You just kind of go under and you go out, and when you're in that state, you can change anything if that's your intention. It's up to you. Nobody's going to heal you. You're going to do it yourself. If you want to, you don't have to. You can keep it. Whatever it is. So, is there any questions about this? Oh, you have one, right? Okay, go ahead.
About the heart chakra is the sequence 34 and 21. If you want to go to the other chakras, you use the 8 system or the 12 system? The 8 or the 13 system?
Wait a minute. You go to the heart chakra, and it's 3421.
I want to go to find the other ones. I use the 8 systems to go through the Fibonacci down, or the 12?
Well, you have both systems superimposed over each other. In other words, you have 12 chakras from the base to the top.
So if I want to know...
But if you just wanted to only function on the 8, like the Hindus only pretty much focused only on the 8, or the white keys. They didn't look at the black keys.
The real question is, I want to go down the Fibonacci and find what is for the sex chakra. So I go...
What the spin ratio is and all this?
Yeah, so I go by the 12.
That's not how it... yes. What you're talking about is yes. But that's not how it works. Each one of these chakras are an individual Mer-Ka-Ba in themselves, and they're all 3421. However, 3421 is associated with the heart. And so the key is that the big one that's rotating around us is a heart-based Mer-Ka-Ba field. There will come a time in our future where we will be on a certain level of consciousness where we might be, say, at the throat chakra. And that one's going to have a different speed ratio than what this one is. But if we had a Mer-Ka-Ba rotating around us that was based on this speed ratio up here, then all of our chakras are going to have that same ratio. So 3421 is one, 3455 is another, 5589 is another, 89144 is another one. And so, and there are many. It is a deep science. The universe has spent more time studying this than any other thing. And so there's more out there, more knowledge, more everything on Mer-Ka-Ba fields than anything else, because the Mer-Ka-Ba is the key to all levels of higher consciousness, without exception. You can't move to a higher level of consciousness until you know and can experience the next higher level of that, what that next one is. In our particular case, we're not actually going to do it. Mother Earth is going to do it for us on this first time. After that, we're on our own. And so right now, she's in a 3421, and she's going to take us into really the same place, right? It's just right here. But she's the Earth. She's going to bring us to the fourth dimensional level of the Earth, and she's going to take us there. Once we're there, though, we're going to do it on our own from then on, from there on out. And we will know when to make these changes. We will just know when. You're going to have a brain about that big. Literally. You're going to have this giant head that you'll get, and you'll be about 14 to 16 feet high. And the women will be about 10 to 12 feet high. And you'll have this huge head with these big eyes, and you will understand things that you can't even begin to understand right now. So, but if you want to know where those 12 points are, that would seem to be one of the things you were asking. Lay down on a hard rug like this on your back, and with you it'll be easy. If you're overweight or underweight, it doesn't work very well. And you can just measure the distance between, well, you can use the tip of your eyes or across your palm, but a really easy one is the tip of your nose or the tip of your chin. And that's your measuring stick between your chakras. If everybody did this in the room, it would come up to 7.23 centimeters, which is the frequency of the universe that we happen to be in. But if you lay down on the back and you take that measuring stick and you, without moving your fingers, you keep them locked, and you put this on the perineum and come up topographically over the top of your body, you'll come out, so it curves going up. So you put this here, and this one will rotate it and it'll lock there. Then you go straight down on the body. That's chakra number 2. This one's chakra number 1. That's chakra number 2. You go again, and your finger's going to go right inside your navel. I know in martial arts they say it's below there, but it's not. That's balance. That's not where the chakra is. The chakra is exactly inside the navel. And we know that for sure. And then when you come up again, it'll go right into that mouth of the solar plexus. You come up again, it'll go right into the first heart chakra. This will go to the second heart chakra. If you're laying down, it'll go right under your. If you're a male, it'll be on the Adam's apple, which is number 6. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 7. This is number 7. And then when you do it again, it comes to the tip of the chin, which is number 8, and on a chromatic scale. And that is the, and so you just hit an octave, and so you have 2 things going on now. You have another one inside the head, a small one that runs up through here, but then you have, but if you continue on with that, with the chromatic scale, this is 8, 9, do it again, and that's third eye, 10, then do it again, this will be what we call the 45, and you do it again, it'll hit your crown chakra, and that's the 12 places. But you do have another one in here, and you can see it. The chin comes out this way, that's number 1, then the mouth goes up this way, is number 2, then the nose comes out this way, is 3, then the eyes come out this way, is 4, then it comes over here, is 5, and then the other ones are inside, and you can't see them. And so you can figure out exactly where these chakras are, just laying on a hard surface and measuring them on your body.
So if you want to know the Mer-Ka-Ba, like the 3421, like the navel, you use the offset of 12 chakras, not the 8.
Well, within those 12,
It's like to go for the Fibonacci, go down for the Fibonacci. I use the offsets of the 12 location or of the 7?
no, both locations are there simultaneously at the same time. It's just that if you looked at them, here's all 12 of them. Three, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the base one. And as you go up, these first three are white keys. The next one is black key. Then you come to the heart, and this one's black key. This is number 8. This is black key. This is black key. This is white key. Oops, sorry, that's white key. And these are both black key also, I think. I don't know if I did that right or not. But both the black and white keys are mixed up. They're mixed up exactly as you would play the chromatic scale. So if you go do like that, every time you switch up to a black key, that's going to be one that is not part of the 8th chakra. And so if you understand what I'm saying, that's how it works. If you don't, then I'll have to take you off to the side a little bit and do it again. Okay, so now the next thing with this is I was just trying to explain why why this works, why the sound, why your voice can actually heal, and the voice can affect a lot of things. I mean, you see that some people will sing a song, and you cry. Other people sing the same song and just nothing happens because they're not here. If a person's really in their heart when they're singing, it has an impact on you. And this is, again, the voice not only affecting physical body, but it can affect emotional body, and it can affect mental body, too. A lot of classical music is very mental, but the precision of it affects mental patterns. And since I only got a very short amount of time, I have to start talking very fast. There is one other thing that's going to be going on today, and that has to do with entities. And this was a very, very big deal back in the 80s and 90s. About half the world had entities inside of them, roughly 50%. And it changed by geographical location. Some countries didn't have very much. Some countries had a lot. A lot of South American countries were very high, extremely high. Some Scandinavian countries is almost non-existent. And it just depends on where you came from. But on an average, about half the world had at least one or more entities inside of them. And those things, it isn't about good or bad or any of that other stuff. The Christian ideas, especially the Catholic ideas of this, are, from my point of view, simply wrong. They don't know what they're doing. They assume that every time there's an entity in you, it's Satan and it's bad. That just is not what I found ever. Well, not that Satan hasn't been inside people before, but or that's just one person. Satan is a person, and there are what I find is that most of these are ETs that have been traveling interdimensionally and have somehow got here and got lost for one way or another. And they don't want to be here. A lot of them came from Atlantis when the misuse of the power that took place then split the dimensions open. And a lot of these things look like snakes came out of the sky and into people. And that Atlantis was really a mess toward the end. Everybody was sick and dying. It was horrible, horrible, worst thing you can ever imagine, because they all had like 100, 200 different of these entities inside of them, and they couldn't function. But nowadays, you don't see very many of those, and usually it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entities in someone. If they're into heroin and crack and certain things, that's where you find 100, 150 entities or more inside of them. They really open up to that. And you can get it through all kinds of things. Alcohol, not just drinking a glass of wine, but I mean if you're just totally gone. And you do it a lot, and especially if you involve sexual energy into it. There's a moment right at orgasm when you, especially through heroin, you just open up to the universe and anything can come in you. And also through surgery. In modern times, this is where a lot of people, really clean, honest, straight people that don't have any relationship to those kind of drugs, they just go in to get some little thing done on them, and the anesthesiologist puts them under, and it's just the same thing. And they just, I've talked now, I think, 5 or 6 professional anesthesiologists who are also psychic and could see the things going in them. And they go, what do I do? Every time I do this, these people just get loaded up with these things. And so there are ways you can seal them. You can help somebody. You can seal them temporarily. You can seal yourself by your Mer-Ka-Ba field. You need to do this, is block the possibility of any kind of entity entering into your body. It's a major program that should be in everyone right now, that you do that, because once you do that, that's it. They cannot get in you at all. Your Mer-Ka-Ba seals everything off, and they can't get it. They usually come in through the back of the neck. There's a little chakra back here, right where that bump and that soft place. And that's right where they come in. They come in behind you. You don't even see them coming. You don't even know what happens until actually when it happens. But this is a big thing for my job of trying to teach you spirituality and energy levels. If you have an entity in you, it keeps you very, very often. There are positive and negative entities. There are some cases where you've made agreements with people, like we did out there, where your own angel's coming in. That you have another being inside of you, but it's you. It's not somebody else. It's you. It's okay. But if somebody else a spirit comes into another body, they're supposed to ask permission. And sometimes they do, and so sometimes you'll go in to do that, and you'll see that somebody's in there, but it's a benevolent thing. It's a good thing, and you just leave them alone. But if it is something where the person's been trapped here on Earth and they don't want to just live free. They want to live inside somebody. So a lot of times they'll go in animals first, and then they'll come up to people. Those things need to be removed. And I don't believe like the Catholic Church where you can just throw them out, because when you just throw them out, they just go into somebody else. It's immediately. And so what Archangel Michael does is he puts a golden octahedron around them in a very specific kind of way, and made in a very specific kind of way, that does 2 things. It keeps the entities, as you remove them, contained inside of that energy field, and they can't go in anybody else. So if you see us doing this today, if it happens, don't be concerned. They cannot come into you. It is not possible. Literally impossible. And there's also, the octahedron is made in such a way that it connects to all dimensional levels in existence. And so once we do get them out, Archangel Michael takes them through the apex directly into the world from where they came from, and releases them back into that world. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. The person is now all alone by themselves in their body, and what was this thing that was stopping them is now back where they're supposed to be. What Archangel Michael says is that he's coming from a unity point of view, there is no good or bad people. Every single person was created by God for a sacred and holy purpose. And it's just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It would be like if you cut your stomach open, you get blood pouring in there. Well, that blood is supposed to be in the veins. It has a purpose there. It's not supposed to be in the stomach. So if it's in the stomach, it's a mistake, but if you could get all that blood back into the veins, everything would be fine. And so the analogy is very close. If there's a spirit here, it doesn't even matter how they got here or what happened, the story behind it. All that matters is that person is then carefully, with great love, taken back to their world, and now they can serve the purpose that they were created for. Because all life is one big living organism. It's just one big living thing. And it's all interconnected. But cells do get in the wrong place, or people do. And so if I do see someone, but right now the Earth is bound to just about zero. There aren't very many entities left on Earth. The Earth is purifying itself and getting all these people to go back to where they came from. And this has been going on now, we're in the 11th year. In 2000, groups were formed all over the world, and their sole purpose was to begin to bring the entities back. And I remember when the groups around the world were telling me they were doing this, and I didn't know what to think about it, except that as I started doing these workshops, I was doing them before that, and before that, I had to wear tennis shoes when I was on there because I'd be running from person to person to person to person to person to person. It was like everybody in the room had problems. And now, it's hard to find them. I doubt if there'll be. Usually in most groups now, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about it. I was just out of Japan not long ago, and there wasn't a single one. I was even in Colombia, where it's very high, and in a group this big, and there's only 7 people. That's very low. And so, I'm sorry. And so, if that does happen, I will come to the right side of the body, because that's how I was trained, and whoever's sitting there, I'll ask you to kind of move aside. I'll get in there and work with a person. I'm pretty fast at this. I go into telepathic communication with the spirit or spirits, and I don't let them speak through the person, because I think that's just scares the hell out of the person that's inside there. And it doesn't do any good except freak them out. But they're very tricky. They can become infinitely small. They can do all kinds of little things, tricks that make them hard to detect. I don't do battle with them. I just come at them and say, look, I love you guys. I understand your situation, and if you want help, I'm here now and I can do this. And usually what happens, sometimes people have like 10 of them in there, and the bigger, stronger ones will take the little one and push them out and go, okay, let's see what happens with you. Like, no. And then they'll go, oh, that worked. Okay, you guys, I'm next. Once they know that this is real, they usually start lining up. And so that's what happens. And then the very first time, you don't see usually too many. But then once one happens, then they all go, wow, they've been waiting 10,000 years for this, and so they all start wanting to come out. And so you don't have to go in there and do anything. They're just sitting there waiting to go.
I just said, what would the person experience before and after?
That depends on the person. A lot of people feel these things in them, and they know they have in them, and they got names for them. They know they're in there. Some people have them in there and don't know. All they know is they can't seem to manifest anything. They can't do anything. That these things keep messing with them. And they cause disease, too, very often. And some of them have just been around here so long and feel so hopeless that they just don't really care what happens to their host. They just don't care. They just think it's like, what if you were taken to some foreign planet somewhere that were with weird looking people, and you were forced to live there, and you're the only one? You'd be thinking of nothing but how do I get back to Earth? That's all you want to do, and that's really. But what if it was thousands of years? After a while, you just feel like you've been abandoned. It's hopeless. And so I've had discussions with these people, and a lot of them, and they're just, they can hardly believe that it's really going to happen. But when they see it actually happening, they get excited. We would too. Suddenly somebody shows up, and here, I'll push this little button, and you're back on Earth, and wow, they want to do it. The other thing too is that when like the Catholic Church does battle with them, they can change their shape into anything. And so they usually, when they say, okay, it's the devil, well, okay, all right, you want the devil? Here I am. But when you actually see them, their actual form and shape, they're usually beautiful, most of them, or simple, or I've seen some that are so beautiful I just want to look at them. They're just amazingly pretty. And they're and a lot of them, most of them are very innocent. They just were in a ship and something happened and they ended up here, and when you talk to them, they're very sweet, almost always more intelligent than humans. And then there's also humans, where people die. Grandfathers very often when they die and they go into fear and they don't, afraid to go on, they go into their grandchildren. They don't go into their kids, they go into, because they're younger. I think that's probably why. And easier to get into, and they go into the, hi Grandpa. Grandpa, what are you doing inside of me? And so you get that, I see that a lot. I had to give somebody asked me to give a workshop on this once. I didn't know how long it would take. It took 3 days just to give the information. There's a lot of other areas that are not discussed right now. Things that people give curses and create thoughts with such power that they enter in and they act like they're alive, but they're not. And there's a million other things. There's debris that's left by them. Some of them start forming families inside of you, and they have eggs and all kinds of stuff. And they always want all that stuff to come with them, and you got to make sure they won't go, and a lot of stuff. But at this point, it's pretty easy. It isn't something I like to do. I don't have a choice. If I really, truly want to serve you and help you and get you doing this, I got to get rid of these things. Or not rid, bring them home.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask is...
where are you?
Oh,
okay, yes.
I'm here. Can they hold back your spiritual advancement?
They not only can, but they almost always do.
No kidding.
Yeah, they stop you. So you can meditate for the rest of your life, but if you have an entity in you, more than likely you're not going to get very far. And that's why it's essential that I do this. I have to. I don't really want to, like I've said, but I don't have a choice. But it's pretty easy now. I mean, probably there's not going to be more than 3 or 4 people in this whole room that have it, where it used to be half the room or more. Because the earth really is purifying. Okay, is there one more question?
Yeah.
Yes?
Why and how do they hold back our spiritual growth?
Why? I don't know. I think they're just grumpy. I mean, I think they just, like I said, been here for so long, they've just given up on any hope. And they just won't do it. They won't agree with it. And it would be very individual. You'd have to ask of that person what's going on. I just came across a whole group of them that had come here from Sirius, one of the planets of Sirius. They were like round black spheres with these little tentacles that are hanging down. They were really sweet people. I mean, I really liked who they were. They'd only been here a few months. And they were they were not, the people didn't even know that they were in there. They were just really quiet and trying to understand, what do we do? How do we go? And I actually wanted to talk to them because I'd never seen them before, and they told me where they came from and everything else. And then I said, well, exactly what you need. They said, let's please get us all together into one place, and then we will. So we did. We got them in there, and Archangel Michael left them. They were all in this one place, and then he brought them all together. They wanted to go together, but they hadn't been here very long. If those same people, after thousands of years, at some point you just give up, and you just think it's hopeless, and you just give up.
Why do they come into human beings?
It's because they want to experience life, and it's from the level when you are on a physical form body. You haven't learned how to be formless. It does not feel good to be formless. That's something that takes a long time. Like the Pleiadians are almost at that level. They're just right now, today, in the last couple years, learning how to go formless. They've been spending a long time learning how to do this, and they're just starting to do it now. And so it's something that you have to learn, and it's you don't learn this until you get into the fifth dimension. That's where you enter into the fifth dimension formlessly. But most of these things are fourth dimensional beings, and they still have form, but they can't live without it. So they go into us, and they usually attach them. They ride on our sexual energy. They can feel through that, and they'll very often connect into the sexual organs and the breasts and things like this. And so that's why you have to know how to disconnect them. Otherwise, it could really be painful and hurt. But if you disconnect them properly, then there's no pain involved. If you do it right, the person doesn't even know that you've done it. But the people that are very much in contact with the people that are in there, some of them are, that human being part of them has also developed a relationship with them. And very often when you remove them, they get sad, even though this has been causing them problems. They're used to it. And they feel alone again. It's kind of like when you're separated with your breathing tubes. They're used to it, and the human side wants it. And they develop sexual relationships with them too. This is another thing that happens, and this is a very complex subject.
Thank you.
We're ready to go. We're going to need to close those doors going out there. And so I'll give you the rest of the instructions now. There's a person going to be lying down. So there's a person here. There will be a person at the head and the person at the feet, holding onto the feet and the head. I have to say this, it might sound kind of strange, but whoever is holding the head, don't bounce the head around. I see people going like this, the person. You can't do this. And I've had people go, why not, Just be still with the head and just let them go under and relax, but you're connecting. The people that are in that flow, I like them to wear their blindfolds. And so that you can really be sensitive to the energy and that you're connecting between each other. Whoever's on either side, somebody, either in this position here, will hold the hand of the person. So their hand, their feet, and their heads are being held. And then the rest of the people, just put your hands on the side of the body. And I have to say one more thing, which is kind of obvious, but still I have to say it anyway because it happens especially in other places outside the United States. But this is not a Tantra workshop. So forget the sexual stimulation right now. People get upset with this sometimes. We're not doing that this time. That's next week. And let me see. The way this is broken down is that we're going to do 4 people. There'll be a half an hour break, and then 4 more people. And when you get that break, I really recommend you wash your hands and feet. That's your hands and face, and or just throw some water on you and clean everything off because there's going to be a lot of debris going in this room. I do have, but I haven't programmed it yet. There's a rotating field back here, a Mer-Ka-Ba, a surrogate Mer-Ka-Ba field that goes around that is protecting us. It will also filter out all of this stuff, and it won't hang around. Tomorrow we're going to do something else. I'll explain what it is tomorrow. We don't complete this until tomorrow. There's about 10 more minutes tomorrow that are really important to finish this up. Because what happens, we get done here, we go to sleep, and sometimes people just wish they had let go of something, but they didn't. And sometimes entities are still in there, and they wish they had gone. And you get a second chance tomorrow for about 10 minutes. And a lot happens during that time. But it's an entirely different thing. It's not a Mer-Ka-Ba field. I'll explain it if anybody wants to know, but not now. And, okay, so we're going to go for 19 minutes of oming. And then 6 minutes of Alleluia. And the key to this is not just oming or making sounds, because if you just make an om, it doesn't do anything. Well, maybe it does on some levels, but it's not what we're aiming for here. The whole purpose, from what you should understand now, is that we're in our heart chakra. We center ourselves in our heart chakra, the lower heart chakra, not this one up here, but the one down lower, which is connected directly to the sacred place of the heart. That's where your tube meets. Your breathing tube meets in that spot, so you know right where it is. So if you're just breathing and you're feeling the flow, it's putting you exactly in the right place. And when you are in there, and then you om with intention that this person that's on the table can release whatever is in the best divine order at that time for them, anything's possible at that moment. It's just pretty amazing. You'll see this energy builds in this, and you'll see. So that's all you do, the people out here, is you just chant Om or Alleluia, and you just stay in here. It isn't how loud you chant that matters. It's not volume, it's quality. And so it's being in here, breathing, and chanting. You could chant low, you don't have to blast it out. We're going to have speakers that will be oming also, and Alleluia also. But it isn't that energy that does it, it's you that do it. And, okay, the order that goes on to the table is up to you. Some people want to go first, some people want to go last, some people, whatever you want to do, I don't care. It's just between this group here. The easiest place to remove entities is through the navel. There's an automatic, just think of an umbilical cord coming out, and there's an automatic flow from that place, and it's really simple and easy to remove them from here. And so I get to the stomach, this is where I'm aiming for this spot, and I need to be able to get to it and see exactly where they are, and see where all the different chakras are. If there's a blanket over the top, I can't get there. I don't know where it is. I can, but it's a lot harder. I'd visually be able to see where things are as well, instead of sitting there and having to figure out by sensing. Archangel Michael is here now, and he will be through this whole thing. So I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go. There is something I want to say right now, and it will probably mean not much. But at the end of this, it'll have a whole nother meaning, because this is what we're going to be doing for the next hour. It's St. Francis. St. Francis said something a long time ago that's very applicable to this place right now. And let me bring it back. It's in giving that you receive, and it's in loving one another that you come to know and live the meaning and purpose of life. And it's really right on. But we don't realize it. It's like we think that the person that's down there is the one that is doing it, but you're giving to this person. But it's in giving you receive. And very often, the person that's sitting there giving to this person is the person that gets the healing. It isn't just there. It's everybody. It's the relationship that you're forming. We used to live in pods. We used to live in groups a long time ago. And we breathed together. We were all one. There was no one man, one thing. They were all married as one family, and everything was shared on every level of our existence. And we live this way all the time. This is something that we've forgotten. But when you get into this, you realize how close. You may not even know the people that are around you, but it's amazing how close you get to each other by by giving. It's just, well, you'll see as we go. So, and when we get all done, I'll say this thing, what St. Francis said again. You go, oh yeah, I understand now. Okay, are we ready? All right.
Oh.
Okay, that was day 2. Now you can proceed on to day 3, the day of the mind.